If you've ever had the opportunity to see the wonderful work of quilting, then you know how fascinating it is. Dr. Robert Bishop joins us. He just told me something startling, that this past year, 6 million Americans made a quilt.
6 million people.
6 million people. That is amazing. Dr. Bishop will give us instructions on a contest that we're having, but we wanted to show these wonderful works and really talk about it a little bit. Can we start over here?
We sure can. What's amazing to me about quilt making today is that it really falls into two categories. People using old styles, old patterns, old techniques, making pieces like this, which is a contemporary celebration of Arthur Fiedler, Boston's own.
Well, that's fitting. Now that you tell me, that is amazing. Who made that?
It was made by a local quilter here.
We have, in fact, they're all supplied, I think, by Sandy Bard and Janet Elwin of New England Quilters Guild.
That's right.
So there are organizations then all over, and one in New England here.
There are 2,000 national organizations making.
You know, amazing what we don't know, huh? How about this one over here?
Again, this is based on traditional designs, but it actually is called the Somerville Quilt and is made by a woman who recalls her childhood in Somerville. And it's just a celebration of those early days.
Amazing. These are considered contemporary quilts,
they
right? All of these. How about the two on the table?
This one is in the log cabin style, and this style first became popular in the 1880s and 1890s. Then this example here is an applique quilt. It means that pieces are cut out and stitched onto a background. The interesting thing about this one is that the maker selected carousel figures that were carved by different people in the 19th century and appliqued them onto this celebration.
How many hours to make something like this?
Well, I think a quilt like this could take several months, actually.
Just amazing. These are treasures for tomorrow, aren't they?
They certainly are.
Yeah. We have yesterday's treasures, actually, hanging in many museums, but specifically we have slides of some of the antiques from the New York Museum in New York of Modern Art, right?
No, it's Museum of American Folk Art, and we're showing
a
quilt exhibition and a coverlet exhibition right now.
Look at this.
This one was made about 1820, 1830, and it is in a traditional star pattern. It's amazing when you think that these women who made these quilts had nothing else to do in their life that was creative except stitch these bed covers. And
they didn't have any how-to book to show them.
They certainly didn't.
No. Isn't that amazing and wonderful to think about? Now, why do I think of Betsy Ross? Isn't that clever?
Actually, it's a baby quilt made for a baby, and of course it celebrates America's heritage. We're sponsoring through Scotchgard, the Great American Quilt Contest and the Great American Quilt Festival. And that starts right now. People on a national basis are encouraged to make
And we'll
quilts.
give you details, but to explain this one.
This
Kaleidoscope is what it looks like, huh?
Well, this one is very, very special because it indicates the enthusiasm for abstract design on the part of quilt makers. This dates from about 1920, 1925, and yet it certainly is a great work of modern art at the same time.
Do you know offhand the oldest quilt that we have from America?
There are quilts from about 1700.
Where did the textiles come from? Where did the fabric, did they just save? I mean, there was no throwing anything away in those days, I guess.
Well, originally textiles were, for the most part, imported, and they were used to make clothing. When the clothing wore out, they saved the bits and pieces and then reused them to make the quilts. So quilts really are a salvage art.
Where did Americans originally learn the art? It was brought, I suppose, from Europe.
From abroad, yeah. The Chinese first developed quilting.
Really? I should say that Dr. Bishop is the director of the American Folk Art Museum. I'll say that now since I messed up on the museum, but it's lovely to have you here to remind us that in the minds of many for years there has been a great ability to produce art, and it's nice.
It doesn't stop.
Food for thought, huh?
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing.